I'd like to call the meeting to order and acknowledge that we are in Treaty 1 territory, the home of the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe and Ojibwe, Innu, Cree, and Dakota peoples, and the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nations in Treaty 3 territory. The panel members today are Bill Buritz, Richard Whitbread. The secretary today is Monica Giesbrick, and our assessor is Drew Thiessen. To Zoom participants of the hearing, please note, you are placed in the waiting room until your property is called upon. When it is your turn, you will be admitted into the meeting. Kindly follow along on the City of Winnipeg's Board of Revision YouTube channel for the hearing process. Once the host admits you into the hearing, please close or mute your YouTube player. You will then be permitted to speak with respect to your property. Once your hearing has concluded, you can leave the meeting. You will be hearing applications for revision for the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit the discussions to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matter must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessment of properties are not considered evidence of the market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the Board's decision with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or the Court of Queen's Bench if the matter pertains to an application of exemption from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the Board order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the points of appeal with your property to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after the applicants have been heard, and the Board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the Board's decision by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. We will be hearing items 3, 4, 5, 8, 9, and 10 on our docket today. Ms. Monica Giesbrick, please affirm the assessor and the applicant's testimony.
Yes, Mr. Assessor, do you affirm that to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Madam Applicant, do you promise to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, Drew, if you could bring forward the property on number 3, which is Humboldt, is that correct?
I believe so.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. The address of the subject property is 21 Humboldt Avenue, roll number 080812228855. It's located in the Glenwood neighborhood, built in the year 2017. It's a 2-story building, single family, living area of 1608 square feet, has a full basement, unfinished, has 1 full bathroom, 2 half bathrooms, and 1 shower. Has central air conditioning, has a fireplace, but that may be a plug-in electric fireplace, not an actual fireplace as would typically be seen. The assessed lot size is 2548 square feet. And the comparables are located at 146 Pilgrim Avenue, 34 Ellesmere Avenue, 139 Imperial Avenue, 122A Essex Avenue. They're all in the Glenwood neighborhood. They're all two-story builds, single-family dwellings, built between the years of 2016 and 2020. Living areas between 1386 square feet and 1474 square feet. One of the properties, Comp 1 at 146 Pilgrim Avenue, does have a finished basement of approximately 502 square feet. And that property also has an extra full bathroom over all of the comparables as well as the subject. There is central air at all the properties except for Comp 3. None of the properties have any fireplaces. None of the properties, including the subject, have a garage. And the assessed lot size ranges between 2487 square feet to 2563 square feet. And the chime adjusted sale prices range between 396,000 for Comp 3 to 428,500 for Comp 1, with the time adjusted sale price per square foot ranging between 274.24 for Comp 3 to 290.98 for Comp 4. The assessed value for the property, as I said, I believe is supported at 416,000 with a total assessed value per square foot of 258.71, which is well below the lowest comparable sale for the time adjusted. I have attached the MLS listings for the subject as well as the comparables, just to give a good idea that they are very similar properties. And that is about all I have to say for that. Thank you.
Here? We're going to finish our question. So the appellant get the question first, right?
Yes.
What's her name or their names? Oh, I'll have to find it. I've got it here somewhere. Dan and Tabitha. Are you there, Dan and Tabitha?
I am here, yes.
Okay. Did you have any questions for the assessor at this time?
Just a couple. 122A Essex, I reviewed the government assessment page, and it said that it had a detached garage.
Okay. At the time of the sale, it did not.
Okay. So did, like, in terms of the assessment, like I know that you attached the MLS listings, but in terms of the assessment, like for this, like they added it after the fact?
It would appear so, yes. As you can see in the evidence that I attached, there was no garage at the time of the sale. So it is not included in the sale.
Okay, so then I guess it got updated on that assessment page. So when you're seeing the value on that page, it appears as if it's including a garage, but it would have been without it. Okay.
Yeah, anything on the assessment page is going to include what is currently there.
Okay. So that's good to note. I will take that out of my notes then, because I've referenced a few different things. I also was curious, like, I guess when I had submitted my documents, the comparables that I had seen on the portal were different than the ones that were attached with the submission. So I have made a few notes and I will touch on the new comparables that I saw, but the ones that were showing up online were different than what was, I guess, updated in this document.
Yeah, the ones that you would have seen on the portal are just a sample of the sales. They are generated by the model given to homeowners to see. They're not all the sales that determine the value. I used different sales. I narrowed my parameters and found different sales than what was actually there. Okay.
I think that's all my questions for now. Do we have a question period that at the end that we might be able to, like, some of these points
You'll have
that
a
I'm.
summary at the end, yes.
Okay, then I think that's all my questions for now.
We've got some questions here at this end possibly. So, Richard, do you have some questions?
No, I'm fine, thank you.
You're good? Bill?
No.
Okay. Have you visited any of the properties?
Personally, I have not known.
Did you know if they were all sold as new at this time, or any of them sold as used?
Based on what I can see in the listings, which are attached, it looks like they were new builds.
Okay. And the Humboldt property was sold back in 2017. That is correct?
Correct. At $347,000 in May of 2017.
That was probably when it was new as well, because you have it as a 2017 house.
Yes.
Okay, that's it for my questions. And now we'll go to your presentation. Tabitha, you there?
Yeah, I am.
Presentation now.
Okay. I'd like to start off by apologizing because we just had a baby 2 days ago, so I'm a little less prepared than I would have liked. In terms of the document that I sent initially, some of the points that I had made were pertaining to the comparables that I saw when logging into the portal. So I see that some of them have changed. So some of those points are still valid to some of the houses, but I have made some notes specifically for the new houses that were used for comparables. So I guess a few of these are like new builds, which is for me during a pandemic, I feel would have made quite a difference in terms of sale price. The newer houses selling, sure, like where no one's lived in them, and selling during the pandemic would have been more appealing, I think, to people coming in knowing that there was nobody here prior to that. So I just am a little concerned about comparing to a brand new house in a pandemic. And I know that it's really difficult to find appropriate comparables. Our house is a little larger than all the comparables. And that being said, because it's on a very small lot, like although they do all seem to be infills, our lot being as small as it is, because our house is larger, because it's the 1608 square feet, it's longer on the property. And so there isn't enough room in the back for a backyard and a garage. So we had to choose one. So right now we have a fence and we have a backyard, but there's no room to also put a garage. These other houses are shorter. And so it allows a little bit more flexibility for the owners to have both. Like I know 122A Essex has a deck in the backyard. I've actually seen that property. And they also have, I suppose now they've built the garage, but they had a 2-car pad as well. So the buyers wouldn't have had to sacrifice both. I've seen the properties. There's 4 properties on this lot that got subdivided, and they're all the same. And these houses, I've seen them sell, and the house next door, it actually, although it's sold outside the reference period by, I think it sold April 6th. And I know that you can't use the sale price outside the range, but I do mention it in my in my document because it was still listed in the reference period, and I still think serves to kind of outline the difficulty that our particular property has because of the square footage on the lot. That house, and it also being like someone was living there at the time. So that they had moved out and it was vacant and cleaned, but someone had been prior living there. But they had listed the house December was December 10th, 2020. So within the reference period, at a list price of $429. And it was reduced twice, once to $424 and then again to $419 before the listing expired. And this was during a market that houses weren't sitting. So I was surprised that it didn't go anywhere. It was relisted again March 12th. 2021 within the reference period at $399, and it eventually sold just after the reference period at under the $399, which makes me feel like the $416 wouldn't be reasonable for my house if it couldn't sell within the reference period at even $399. It ended up selling April 6th for $390. And they have a detached garage, and we do not. So their house actually has what we have, but more. And actually, on that note, the assessor did mention that about the fireplace, and for some reason, none of the other 4 houses have it listed as having a fireplace. They were all built exactly the same, unless the owners have removed them. But they are a plug-in unit that's just mounted to the wall. So I don't know if it counts as a fireplace, and I don't recall it being on the list, like on the government info previously. But we might perhaps have to look at removing that from it if it doesn't qualify. But that's it. It is a plug-in. So I think the new builds as comparables do concern me because of the COVID aspect. I think they would also sell for a bit more just desirability in terms of COVID free. I'm also concerned because some of them the builders will offer a 5-year home warranty that comes with the sale. Some of them included appliances, and like ours didn't when we bought it. A lot of the houses that are listed, that are the new ones that are referenced, they have higher finishings than we do. So they have quartz countertops, and they have fancier tiled showers and custom doors, and a lot fancier finishings. Pilgrim has a balcony off of, I think, the master bedroom. They have a finished basement, and they have the assessor did mention that one has an additional bathroom. And that one did specify they had a home warranty that came with the house. 34 Ellesmere had the home warranty, higher finishes, they quartz countertops. We just have melamine. Also included appliances. 139 Imperial, builder included in appliances and landscaping, higher end finishes. That one I saw as listed having a garage as well, but I don't know, it's possible again that it was included after the sale. But I wonder too if it was listed, would the garage, if it was maybe negotiated in the price with the builder to build the garage, would it have been added to the MLS listing, or would it have been left out and possibly included in that sale price? And then 122 Essex mentioned they had the deck and a roughed-in basement. I don't know if that's changed, but it said that they had electrical and plumbing all set up and ready to go. Ours is completely, it's just down to it's just insulation. So those are my notes on those houses. And sorry, I'm just reviewing these. Okay, and I think my last point would be regarding, and I know you're not allowed to use other houses' assessments. I guess my point on this one is more that 25 Humboldt is one of the 4 houses that the builder who built our house built. And they have the same finishings that we do. But they have a garage. But aside from that, it looks like the rest of the specs are the same. But their house is assessed at 412. So I know we can't compare assessments, but my question was, and I had called 311 and I was interested in knowing what comparables were used for that house, because if that house is the same specs as mine, whatever comparables are being compared to that house would they not then possibly apply to mine? And if they're assessed at 412 with a garage, then I would think that my house should be assessed lower than the 416 of that it's being assessed at currently. But I was told that I wouldn't have access to see the comparables that were used for 25 Humboldt. So I don't know, but I was curious on that, just being that our houses are identical, except that they have a garage and their assessment is lower than mine, and I do not have a garage. So I just wasn't sure on that. Sorry, I think that covers everything. I mean, without reading the document that I submitted, I'm sure you guys have all had a chance to see it. We haven't made any changes to the house since we've purchased it, except I guess that I may have to update that there isn't a true fireplace. Yeah, so aside from the fact that these, one last point. Last time we had done the Board of Revisions process, we had spoke to a realtor and they did an assessment, and they had told us that houses of smaller square footage, so like the 1,200 to 1,500 range, will sell more per square foot than like the 15 to 1,800 range. So I did have some concerns about the fact that the houses they're being compared to, and again, I know that there's just not a lot. I did look at the sales data, the book for the reference period, and I did refer to the government website, and there just really aren't a lot of houses that are exactly like ours in terms of year and size. So the fact that all these other houses fit within that smaller range, they sell more per square foot than ours do. So the cost, when it translates, I think it's not quite accurate, and may serve to make the assessment for our house maybe not quite what it should be. But again, I did note a few of the other houses on that I did consider and look at, and it, like, none of them are really, I would say, ideal. So I understand it's a difficult thing to reference. I think that's it for me.
Drew, do you have any questions?
I do, thank you. So for the fireplace, I just want to confirm, is it one of the fireplaces that kind of just sits on the wall and has a plug, like an AC plug going into a convenience outlet outside of it?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to confirm that. And for the 10 sales you mentioned in your evidence,
yes,
were you aware if the qualities present were there during the sale, or if they were added afterwards, or any information on that? Because I saw you only had really the assessment info attached for a few of them, not all.
Yeah. So
go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I was referencing the assessment and taxation information. I wasn't sure how to access the MLS listings. So in terms of those items, I suppose I am not in terms of new build. I did reference the sales book and what was listed for the property in terms of build year. So those I'm pretty certain should be accurate. Excuse me. In terms of the finished basement, detached garage, I suppose it is possible that it was added after, now that I'm realizing that the government site may be updated after the sale. But them all being the newer builds, I would question if the MLS listing was updated or not, or if it was a deal that was made with the builder, because I know it happens often in terms of garages to make a deal for the sale price and have the builder build it. It happened with one of the houses that are on this lot, or the original lot here. So I suppose, I didn't realize that the government website could have been updated after. So that I'm not 100% sure, unless it was possibly part of the build deal.
Okay. And besides like just the anecdotal evidence of the new builds being more attractive, do you have actually any sales data that would back that up?
I mean, no, I mean, that's just something that I kind of feel would, I mean, I know that if I was looking for a house, I might have felt more comfortable buying a new house to ensure that there wasn't anybody living in it, and in terms of COVID. But no, I didn't check with a realtor on that particular point. That was just, nothing too specific.
Okay, thank you. I have no further questions.
Richard, do you have any questions?
Just one. Do you have a number in your mind as to what property should be assessed at, ma'am?
That's difficult. I did talk to the realtor who sold the house next door. And I don't want to, I'm not the expert, so I don't want to go and say, I think I'm open to what this might be assessed at. I suppose the only thing that I have to go by is the sale of that other of the house next door, just because it is so comparable to our house. The only thing is that they have the garage. So I guess in my mind, if that house sold for $390, I just feel like it should be somewhere around there. And just consider what the value of a garage might be. That I feel like that would be the most accurate in terms of what my house would actually sell for. But when I did talk to the realtor, it's a team, and I believe it was Gary Parks and his wife. I spoke to her, and she kind of felt like somewhere around 370 was maybe like 370 to 390, somewhere around there. But again, I mean, that was just a conversation we had. She didn't come and look at the house personally. And again, I don't want to necessarily say I'm not the expert. So, but I definitely think that it should be lower than the 416. I just think that if I could sell my house for that much, then I would maybe consider moving. I know that my house wouldn't sell for that much. So again, I think that the only thing I have to go by is the sale of that 23 Humboldt.
So I heard you say something about 390. Is that correct?
That house 23 Humboldt next door, sold just outside the reference period for 390.
Thank you very much.
Bill, do you have any questions?
Yes. You mentioned as part of your application submission that the issue of the square foot price per square foot price for the comparables are affecting your number, I guess, was your argument, because they're smaller. So if it just maybe just let me finish my question.
Yeah, sorry.
So if I look at the comparables, they're all around 290, 289, 274, and 290 again. So on your subject property, it's 258.
Okay.
So yeah, I was just wondering if you could just kind of reframe that particular argument that you're making in terms of the square foot number, why you think it's having an effect on your property?
Well, I guess on that note, the documents that were submitted did include reference properties that I wasn't originally aware were being used as the references, because I was referring to the website. And unfortunately, I've had a little low on time to review the documents. I received them yesterday, and we just got discharged from the hospital yesterday. So in terms of the square footage on that, I'm not a math person, and I understand like the number, the 290 range for those other houses versus the 258. I'm not 100% sure. Initially, the issue when we had done the Board of Revisions process a few years back was just clear that you pay more for a smaller house per square foot, and that our house was not not extrapolating in the same way in terms of the range for our square footage. So in terms of how it applies to these new properties, I haven't had as much time to review that as I would have liked. So at that point may be a little confusing, and I'm sorry for that.
That's fine. I have no further questions, Mr. Chair.
Tabitha, you were saying that that one house sold for $390 was identical to yours.
Except they had a garage, yeah.
But you said that you didn't have room for a garage.
I have a backyard. They do not have a backyard. They opted to put the garage in the space of the backyard.
So that basically eliminated a lot of their backyard. Well, yeah,
Yes.
they own it because it's only 25 feet wide. Is that not correct?
The backyard is 25 wide, and I'm not exactly sure how deep it is, but it's somewhere around 30. It might be around 35. It just fits a 2-car garage with maybe like 6 to 8 feet between the house and the garage. So it fits their stairs, and there's not much room.
Okay. No, I have no further questions. Is there anything as far as summary for the assessor?
Yes, there is. Thank you. I would just like it noted that sale mentioned at 23, I think it was, Humboldt, was a post-reference sale, and it should not apply for this assessment cycle. It was listed prior to then, but I do have a number of sales supplied that did actually sell within the reference period, whereas that one did not. It actually sold on April 14th of 2021, as per the MLS listing. So it would not and should not apply for this reassessment cycle. Also, as the market was very active during the height of the pandemic, with the housing stock being at or near historical low points, I don't feel that the argument that the new homes would sell for more than existing homes actually holds water. And furthermore, had the relating to the sales, possibly having things negotiated into it after the fact. We generally would update for that being the case. And with the number of the sales that I listed, and you can see it with the MLS listings included, there are asking prices that are actually higher than what the property sold for. So typically that would mean that there's nothing else included after the fact. And that is all I have. So thank you.
Tabitha, do you have anything in conclusion?
Well, I do recognize that it was sold after the reference period. And the only reason I mentioned it was just because I feel like the listing, the fact that it sat in the listing, the asking prices I feel still would reflect accurately if considered within that listing. The asking prices were within the reference period, and it did not sell for $399. So it was not nobody wanted it for $399 within that reference period. It was not able to sell in that reference period for that price. So I still feel like that's still something to consider. Just knowing our listing for our house, the images that are there are actually not our house. They're the stock house that's actually beside us. So I know that the listings are not always accurate in terms of what they show and what they sell for, just based on the listing that was submitted for our property. Because the finishings are slightly different in terms of faucets and countertops, in terms of color. And the photos that were attached for the 21 Humboldt were the one for 23 Humboldt. So that being said, I would hope that they're all updated accurately, but I am a little concerned about things like garages and finishes, that the finishes wouldn't get updated unless it was in the description in terms of quartz and picking light fixtures, or we made a deal with our builder for the landscaping in the front with how we wanted the pathway to look. And I don't think that it would have changed. That particular change wouldn't have changed the price, but some changes do happen behind the scenes that may not be included in the MLS listing that I feel like could have driven up the price for finishings. Like ours was pretty basic in terms of finishings. And I think that's it. I mean, I've said my piece about everything else, and I think that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. Go take care of the baby. Have a great day.
Thank you.
That'll conclude the matter. Okay, so that concludes that matter. Let's move on to the next one. Docket. That'll be not docket. Number 4, Vincent Massey Boulevard. Is that correct? Is that the next one?
There's nobody present for that address.
Okay. Which one are we going to next? Number 5?
Sorry, we still need to hear that item. We still need to hear that item.
We're going to hear it now, or we're going to hear it at the end? Number 4.
That's up to you.
Because they might come in before we end the meeting.
And just
That's what it-
inform.
We're going to move number 4 down to the bottom in case they show up. We're going to go to number 5, which is number 22104 Autumnwood Drive.
Okay. All right. Oh, sorry. I forgot. You have to.
Nobody present for that address.
No one present? Good. What's your next one you got present?
42 Basella Bays by Zoom.
What item?
That's
Item
number
number
8.
9 and 10.
You have number 8. Oh,
Uh,
9 and 10?
And number 8 is withdrawn.
Number 8 is withdrawn now. But 9 is here
Via Zoom.
by Zoom. Okay, let's go to 9. Okay. We're going to 9, gentlemen. Is anybody else having trouble opening up the applicant's brief?
I haven't tried yet.
That was, sorry, you said that was 460,
469.
469. No, right.
I'll deal with it after.
Okay, sir, can you close your YouTube player? Albert?
Yep, can't open them.
Hmm?
Both of them I can't open.
We can't open the applicant's forms on number 9. Is there a reason for that? Or? No, we'll deal with that anyway.
Sure.
We'll be back in a second, Albert. Technical difficulties.
Everyone close it one more time.
Close what?
All of your PDF. Close your Adobe.
Close
Close
them?
all your windows.
Close all our windows and reopen?
No, don't reopen anything.
Nothing?
Close it right now.
Okay, we're all closed. Close them now.
Close all windows? Close all.
Just hit the X on the top right hand corner.
Okay, so there's somebody has something open, that's what I meant. You might have something open.
I don't have them open.
No.
Did you close all your files? Richard?
I have my agenda open.
Okay. Gotta close everything.
That should do it.
Somebody has something open. I can't,
Good. I've got nothing open.
All
Wanna
I
come?
see is Winnipeg for me, that's it.
Click on your icon, your file folder icon. Do you have anything?
Nope.
No,
I'm all down.
I'm down.
Is the assessor maybe hooked up to the same thing? Okay.
okay, so that's it.
Unless you wanna have a look yourself here. Okay.
No. All right, so
Can you open it?
I can open it, but I also have to defend this person.
You can take 5 minutes.
The only one that I can't fix is the stuff with okay, try to open item 8 again.
8 or 9? We're on
Just
I.
8.
Do 8?
Yeah. Item-
Everybody?
Yes, please.
Access denied.
Item 8.
We might have to do this.
Okay, I got the,
I can't open 8. Oh, I opened something.
We can open the assessment brief, but not the,
yeah,
Okay.
applicant can't open.
Okay, so when I take a recess, I'll fix them.
Okay. Sorry for the inconvenience. We're gonna have to take a short break to correct a couple of electronic problems. What is it? I think we're back live. Everybody hears me?
Yes.
Okay, we'll call the meeting back to order. We're gonna be dealing with item 8 on our agenda, which is 42 Boiselle Bay in Island Lakes. Dan, when you are ready, put your information forward.
May I confirm something? So the appeal, we submitted 2 separate appeals for years for the 2 tax sections. So I wonder if we hear it at the same time.
Yeah, we can't hear them at the same time. We have to hear them separately.
Correct, they're different references.
Because they're different reference years.
Okay.
So they're different reference years. We have to hear them separately. But we have to swear you in first. I'm sorry. You can swear in your comments, please.
Mr. Albert, Mr. Applicant, sorry. Please state your full name.
Albert Novica.
Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes,
Thank
I do.
Okay, thank you.
And Madam Applicant.
Madam Applicant, please state your name.
Stephanie Thurston.
Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Okay, Dan. Back to you. Bring it forward, please.
Me?
Yep.
Oh, it's
You're up.
sorry. All right, so the subject property, we're looking at the 2021 assessment currently. The subject property is 42 Boisselle Bay, located in the Island Lakes neighborhood, roll number 060930700200. It's a two-story build, built in 1987, single-family dwelling. It has a living area of 2297 square feet, full basement with a finished basement, has 2 full bathrooms, 2 half bathrooms, 2 showers, has central air conditioning, does have a fireplace, has an attached multi-car garage, and it has a lot size of 7241 square feet. It also has land influences of a hydro transformer box, and it backs onto a park. The comps are located mostly in the Island Lakes neighborhood, except for comp 1 at 900 John Bruce Road, which is in the Royalwood neighborhood, right across the train tracks from Island Lakes. So these properties are located at comp 1, 900 John Bruce Road East, 2 Lessard Place, 90 Sabarin Place, 107 Nordstrom Drive. They range in year built from 1977 to 2007. They're all 2-story builds, range in living area from 1569 square feet to 2242 square feet. All of them do have finished basements except for comp 2, but the finished basements are only roughly half the amount to 2/3 the amount of the subject. The bathroom counts are fairly similar. However, most of them do lack the second full bathroom and the second shower. The fireplaces, there are present in all of the comps except for comp 2. And comp 1 also has a sunroom that is not present at any of the properties. The lot size ranges from 5138 square feet to 1680 square feet. And there are land influences present on most of the properties. Comp 1 has no land influences at all. Comp 2 has a bus route, external corner, and medium traffic, as it is located on De La Seigneurie. And comp 3 is heavy traffic as it backs onto La Jamodier. And then comp 4 has medium traffic as it is located on Ward Avenue. The time adjusted sale prices are $381,500 for the low to $521,800 for the high, with a time adjusted sale price per square foot range of $207.40 for the low to $259.40 for the high. I also have to note that there is an error on the map that I attached. Comp 3 and 4 should be switched for the error where the arrows are pointing. It was just a minor error that I made. I do believe that based on the information I presented here, that the current assessed value at $487,000, total assessed per square foot of $212.02 per square foot is supported. Thank you.
Albert and Stephanie, do you have any questions of the assessor at this time?
Yes, I do. I had a chance to have a phone call with the assessor a few weeks ago, basically trying to inquire why there was a significant increase for the previous tax year. What's important is that the increase happened the next day after I filed the appeal. So again, not sure why it happened, but the perception there could potentially be that the city was just trying to justify a big increase in 2023 by readjusting 21-22. Again, it's just my interpretation, it might be something else. But I do have a couple of relevant questions. So when I had the discussion with the assessor, they said that there are several reasons why the value went up. So gazebo, they cited the gazebo, they cited extra deck footage, and they cited the fire pit. They also mentioned something about windows, but I understand windows are typically not included, newer windows not included in this property assessment. So my questions are, what's the value of the so-called gazebo? And why I say so-called, it's not a gazebo, it's a cover over the hot tub. It doesn't serve as a gazebo. The only reason it's there is to be above the hot tub to protect it from rain. The second question I have, the extra deck footage was mentioned. Again, we bought the house in 2021. We're not aware what was there before, but it sounds some extra deck footage was added, possibly in 21 or 22 before we bought the house. So I would like to know what's that footage, what's the price per foot, and finally, I would like to know, the assessor mentioned that the fire pit might also influence evaluation. I would like to know what's the influence there in terms of numbers. And I also wanted to mention that it's not longer there because we had to remove it due to safety reasons. It was too close to the house and it was rusted out. So we took out the cement pad that was on the fire pit and put the grass in there. So these are my three questions.
Okay, so for the gazebo, I actually did do a review of this prior to the hearing here. I removed the gazebo because that isn't reflective of what it actually is, and I changed it to be more like a covered deck area. There was no change to the valuation, so it's not going to actually affect anything here. And for the fire pits, we do not value fire pits. So I don't know if maybe you misunderstood that he was saying changing fireplace.
I did not misunderstand. It was very clear.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. I don't know exactly what the conversation was, so I wasn't part of it, so I don't know for sure what exactly was the situation there. But we do not value fire pits, so there's no value going into it.
Okay, what about the deck?
The deck, so the deck, yeah, it was increased in size. We verified your sale. So the other changes relating to it were increasing the effective age to reflect the fact that there have been upgrades to the kitchen, flooring, windows, exterior work. So yeah, you said the windows is maintenance related work, but however, the kitchen, flooring and that kind of stuff and the windows all being done at the same time, not really maintenance work. It is now being an actual upgrade to the home. It is going to command a greater value likely in the open market because of that. I know that you didn't do this work, but it was done prior to your purchase, so it does reflect what is actually there presently. So we have to reflect what is currently on the property when we are looking at the assessed values, which is why we actually sent out the supplementary notices going back to just after your possession, as it was present when you purchased the home. So we updated the property record, sent out supplementary notices to reflect the fact that the property has changed, there have been changes made, and it needs to have changes to the assessed value relating to that.
Okay, I would like to have it on record that none of this was mentioned during my conversation with the assessor. He cited specific items that are listed in the case here, so I didn't have opportunity to prepare and didn't have this information to prepare for the case. But to answer those questions, I mean, to the comment that there was a newer kitchen, it's not newer. The floor is already cracking. We had to remove lots of stuff. The visual appeal is lacking. There was grout missing in the hallways. Just to give you an idea, we were the only offer on this house because of the number of issues with the house.
Albert.
Yeah, sorry, I know that.
Presentation, well, you're supposed to be questioning. We'll hear all that, but let's finish with the assessor first on the questioning. Have you got any other questions you wanted to ask?
Just to follow up. So what you're saying is that essentially you don't know how much the deck footage influenced the increase, because it's a very sizable increase, $27,000. in essentially 1 year. So to me, it sounds like the gazebo is not there anymore. The deck footage, it's not clear how much extra it is. The fire pit is not there anymore. So the only reason for the increase is the changes that you cited later that I wasn't aware. Could you please confirm that?
Yeah, there were significant upgrades to the home with flooring, kitchen. Those are going to be the major factors that are actually going to be affecting the value. The deck size, I don't have the previous deck size on hand, unfortunately, but we did increase it based on what we were able to see from satellite imagery. It increased to about 306 square feet. So that is what happened with that. It's not going to be the major driver of increase of value that you've seen.
Okay. For the record, again, the flooring is original on the main floor. It was upgraded on the second floor, but it was done a long time ago and it's quite scratched. So again, I know those listings are made to look good, but the actual state of the house, like in my opinion, it doesn't warrant $27,000 increase in one shot. So that's it. Thank you.
If you're questioning, okay, Richard, do you have any questions of the
No, I
assessor?
don't. I don't.
Okay. Bill, do you have any questions of the assessor?
Yes, so all those renovations that you had mentioned, so that's incorporated into the model here in terms of the effective year built, is that correct? 1997?
Yes, the 10-year effective age added is reflecting the upgrades that were done, whereas any other changes would have been reflected by actual characteristic changes, like I mentioned with the deck being increased to 306 square feet. There was the gazebo added, which I've changed. Now it's a covered deck area. And yeah, that it would be mostly reflected in the effective age.
And where did you,
1981, I believe.
where did you receive the information for the renovations, or how did you get that information?
The MLS listing, which I have attached in the brief that I applied, that I sent.
Okay, my apologies.
Richard?
I should have asked, sorry, did you visit the home to see what condition it's in?
I did not know.
You don't, okay. Thank you, no question.
So Dan, what you're telling me is what I'm hearing is that you did not visit the house and you're using just the MLS photos to say that they had new flooring put in?
I am using the MLS listing to verify what the current condition is. The home did sell in, I believe it was July of 2021. So it's fairly recent, within a year. So I figured that the condition would be largely the same as what is shown in the photos that are attached to the MLS listing, which I have attached again in my brief.
Then that value, we can't know what it is because it's after the date. Is that not correct?
Correct. That's why I blacked out the sale price.
Are you chasing the price?
Nope.
So why does that look like new flooring to you in the kitchen?
So it's not necessarily the kitchen that I'm looking at for the flooring. It's throughout the home. Maybe not all of the home is new flooring. Again, I was not the one that did the sales verification either. I did have a look at the property to see if it seemed warranted, and it did to me. There have been upgrades besides just the flooring as well. The kitchen itself has certainly been upgraded at some point. It does not appear as I would expect a 1987, 87 home to be presenting. So
I can walk you guys through the house right now and show the condition.
Albert, we're asking you, but you'll sorry. Let me finish with Dan first, please. So I'm looking for the kitchen. We're going to start with that. Do you always trust the MLS sales? They don't go and actually visit the house?
Sometimes we do visit the house. We do often do MLS verifications, though. We are limited on time and staffing to complete verifications of every house that sells. It would be virtually impossible to go and visit all these houses. It's just not feasible.
But have you ever gone to visit a house after looking at an MLS listing and seen that it looks in much rougher shape than the pictures?
It does occasionally happen. I would say more often than not, it does basically present the same as the MLS listings that I've seen.
So you're telling me every time somebody puts in new windows, you're going to raise their taxes for new windows now? It used to be looked upon as keeping the maintenance up on a house. Why are we all of a sudden raising the price of a house because they put new windows in?
So it's not just the windows, as I mentioned earlier. It's really
it's not just this, it's not just that, but you're piling them all together, are you not? You're saying it's the flooring, you're saying it's the renovations, you're saying it's the kitchen, which we have got no proof other than the pictures. How are you evaluating it if you keep saying it's the flooring, but it's not this and it's not this?
Well, so the home was built in 1987. It currently does not present as what I would think a 1987 home built in this area would present as. I've seen other homes in the area that it looks like the home has been upgraded. I can't say for sure when that has happened, but it definitely looks like it has been upgraded from 1987. So to say that it reflects a 1987 home would not be really accurate. It is an upgraded home. It has seen upgrades over time. I'm not looking at it as, okay, the windows are the driver of this value because the windows have been upgraded. That's a maintenance issue generally. However, when you combine adding other upgrades to the home at the same time, whether it would be a kitchen upgrade or upgrading bathrooms or upgrading flooring throughout the house or various other upgrades, at that point, I would be looking at it as a overall upgrade of the home, which is going to increase the market value. In terms of looking at that in our effective ages, that is the only way that we can really reflect the fact that there is a home that's been upgraded versus being an original home. If we're comparing apples to apples of an original home, and then we look at it as, okay, well, this one was an effective age of 1987, never been touched, and this one is an effective age of 1987, but now everything's been upgraded, that's not going to be apples to apples anymore. That's going to be apples to oranges. So the effective age...
We would catch that on the sale of the house when we see the number, correct?
Yes, but in the model, we cannot see that this is going to be that would be the way that it can be reflected in the model to reflect that there have been upgrades to this home. It is not an original home.
Okay, I'm going to want to hear from the applicant on this one, and I'm done with my questions. Albert, if you and Stephanie can put forward your presentation. I've just got to stop for 1 second. My computer keeps going blank. What is that? Okay, I'll try and keep going. Albert and Stephanie, if you could make your presentation, please.
Thank you. So again, our evidence was submitted for both tax years. So you will see there is some combined information, but we'll try to focus only on 2021 for this one.
Thank you for meeting with us today. We, the owners of the residential property at 42 Boisselle Bay, Albert Novikov and Stephanie Thurston, would like to appeal the 2021, 2022, and 2023 municipal property assessments. 2 separate appeals were filed for these years, but since they are connected and the hearing is at the same time, we're discussing both here. We had a chance to discuss the 2021-2022 changes with the city assessor, and they cited a bigger deck, which we just discussed. Fire pit, gazebo, and new windows is the reason for the adjustment. The fire pit was removed for safety reasons, and it was too close to the house and rusted out. The gazebo, which we already mentioned, is not really a gazebo. It's not enclosed, but a small cover over the hot tub. The deck is somewhat bigger, but it doesn't warrant a $27,000 increase in value. and the newer windows shouldn't be factored into the assessment as they fall into a wear and tear category akin to new paint, which the city says on its website it doesn't take into consideration. The house has multiple other issues that reduce the curb appeal and will require costly repairs, including the sunken driveway, peeling exterior paint, some surface rot in the siding, uneven front lawn, and slope and drainage issues, which we've been experiencing in our backyard. A small shed has a roof sagging and a few whimsical but massive art installations created by the previous owners, which are decrepit and will need to be removed. We believe the cost of expensive issues with the house outweighs recent improvements made by the previous owner. And the reference date for the previous assessment cycle was April 1st, 2018. The comparable properties sold around that time and listed below are all priced significantly lower. Even considering the time adjustment shouldn't be applied to the 2021-2022 year, as most comparable properties sold around 2019. And as you can see, most of these properties sold in the 440K to 470K range in 2019-2020. It's notable that these properties also have better locations and curb appeal. And the first three properties were used by the city appraiser as comparables. 94 Royal Park Crescent in November 22nd, 2019, the sale price was $455,000 and time adjusted sale price was $496,900. 77 Surfside Crescent in June of 2019 was $445,000, and then the time adjusted sale price was $487,300. 67 Morning Glory Crescent in October of 2019, the sale price was $440,000, and then it was later adjusted to $480,900.
Yeah, I can hear. So the first three properties were pulled from my property portal, the city of Winnipeg. That's what they used for the comparison, or at least it looked like they did. And the remaining three we received from our realtor. We just asked him to pull up some comparable properties, and that's what we got. And as you can see, they all sold in 2019, 426, 470, 437. So that's what we included in the assessment. Once Stephanie finishes, I also would like to make a few points about the evidence that the city submitted.
Okay, so we bought the house in July of 2021, right in the midst of the housing bubble. And the previous owner asked an unreasonable amount for the house. We were the only offer, however. But since we were moving from another province and have two small children, we desperately needed a place, and rentals were not a feasible option for us. We didn't even have a chance to see the house in person, so we bought it over the internet. We tried to compete for other properties in a lower range, but those went significantly above asking price, and we had to stretch our budget to get to a less competitive range. Us making the only offer is a sign that the price the seller wanted wasn't competitive and shouldn't be taken into consideration by the city appraiser. The house had multiple costly issues that repelled other buyers: older finishes, appliances that all needed to be replaced, grout missing in the hallway tile, plumbing, dog hair and smell, variable vegetation, slope issues, and so forth. All of this to say the price we paid wasn't warranted even at the height of the housing bubble, but we didn't have any other options at the time. Winnipeg's properties had increased at 2 to 5% on average before the pandemic and rock bottom interest rates. With the Bank of Canada determined to cool the housing market, it's predicted the prices will drop 15 to 20% in 2023. And considering a multi-year moving average for home prices in Winnipeg, our house should be valued in the $450K to $460K in 2021 and 2022. So that's good. Although the assessor is hesitant to use comparable properties on our street that were not sold at that time, we still believe they should be taken into consideration for the purposes of this appeal. Houses in the Boiselle Bay range from $407K to $565K. and most highly comparable to ours, but the average value was only $464K. Our house has the third highest assessed value on the entire street just because it sold recently, though its curb appeal is lacking. It has a smaller lot and multiple and costly issues that need to be addressed. And the current taxation methodology is not fair to recent buyers, many of whom are young families already squeezed by inflation, rising gas and utility prices. So 74 Boisselle Bay was $515K, identical house and lot size, but it's a corner lot and the backyard faces the lake. So it should be valued higher than ours. And 38 Boisselle Bay, which is $565K. It used to be an identical house, but they built a 700-foot addition above the garage, and the house is 30% bigger than ours, while the assessed value was only 5.6% higher than ours. We hope you consider our appeal. We believe that the house should be assessed at $460K in 2020 and 2022,
I think that's good.
and at $500K in 2023 and 2024.
Yeah, and again, regarding some of the issues mentioned here to the condition of the house. So the floor that's being mentioned here, it's an epoxy floor. It has a huge crack in it in the middle, which is not fixable. We'll need to replace the whole floor. I can take you there. I can show you the pictures. The floors on the main floor is well worn. There is tile floor and there is original hardwood flooring, but it's quite worn off. I don't think it was ever replaced. The tile in the hallway, multiple issues. The grout was completely missing. It's an older tile. I wouldn't be surprised if it was here for 15 years. On the second floor, there is no carpet. It's just hardwood floor, but it's again quite worn. They had a large dog in the house before us, and pretty much the entire area is pretty badly scratched. So it's not an appealing floor from the sales perspective at all. It's also notable that in the basement there is concrete floor that actually has cracks that have been fixed. They were fixed well, but still that reduces the house appeal because people come in and see this and they start having questions, is something wrong with foundation, right? So I would like the appeal committee to consider all these factors. I believe the overall condition of the house, they all look good on the listings. People do their best to show the best of the house. And obviously when an assessor looks at it, they get the impression it looks great, right? Like real estate agents are really good at making the house look awesome. That's their job. When you actually come in here, the impression is not the same. We were quite surprised. We had to repaint the whole house. And we believe that the cost of all the potential issues highly outweighs the $27,000, like all the potential improvements, and definitely doesn't warrant a $27,000 increase. So if I have a couple of minutes, I just wanted to go quickly through the evidence that the city submitted. So for comparables here, they used the John Bruce Drive, Comp 1. The time adjusted sale price is $465. And again, I believe the time adjustment the city uses is to 221, but it's notable that this house has a sunroom and it's also 9,300 square feet, almost 2,000 square feet bigger lot. So for the Comp 3, it's notable that the house was built in 2007. It's a much newer house. The assessed lot size is whopping 16,000 square feet. And this house is only assessed a little bit higher. So you look at the Comp 4, and again, the square footage is certainly lower, but the price is also significantly lower for 407. It's also notable that the square footage cited here is 7,241, but it's not the entire story. So what we heard from the previous owner, there is a lot behind the house. I think it's approximately 1,000 square feet, maybe 1,500, that was purchased later. I understand they probably had an option at some point a few years ago where the city approached them and said, listen, do you want this lot, right? And I think that they paid a little bit for it. But the thing about this lot is that technically we don't own it. We cut the grass on it, but we don't own it because we cannot put the fence there. We cannot build any structures. I understand it comes with encumbrance. So I'm not sure if it can fully count toward this. And again, that's our understanding. We had discussions with neighbors. Some of them did the same, purchased the lots, and nobody built anything there, nobody fenced it. So I assume it comes with encumbrances. And the whole area of that lot shouldn't count. It's just technically public land where we cut some grass and we have people walking through it all the time. So yeah, that's my argument.
Dan, do you have any questions?
I do have some questions. So you had just mentioned that you do not own the parcel, the small lot parcel that backs onto the park.
To clarify, I didn't say I don't own. We bought it. We technically legally own it. But
Okay.
our understanding, we cannot use it as you would typically use a backyard. I cannot build a pool there.
Okay,
I
I just wanted to confirm that. Thank you.
Yeah.
And now, related to the comparables that you provided, I noticed that they were all after April 1st of 2018. So that would not apply into this current 2021 assessment that we're looking at. Did you have any of the sales that occurred prior to April 1st of 2018?
I felt it was reasonably close. The market conditions were pretty similar between 2018, like the COVID changes that start happening. So that's what we were able to find. And obviously having your assessments as well as having your comps here helps. But you can see consistency in prices between what you submitted and what we have there sold in 2019.
Okay. And do you feel that backing onto a park would add value to most people in the open market?
No, I don't think so. It's not actually a park. It's a school yard. Like it's a space behind the school, Island Lake School. We get lots of traffic there. There is a football game in that park every evening pretty much. And during the day, it's pretty much used by kids. So no, I wouldn't call it a park. It's rather, to me, it seems more like a school property.
Perhaps I should rephrase it. Backing onto a green space, do you feel that would be a positive influence?
It's definitely positive, but it's been there since the house was pretty much built. So I don't think it's influencing the 2021 assessment.
Okay, and then do you have any professional quotes or estimates of the cost to cure any of the issues that you've mentioned? So I know in your actual brief, you had mentioned the sunken driveway, peeling exterior paint, some surface rot in the siding, uneven front lawn, slope drainage issues in the backyard, small shed sagging, and then the whimsical but massive art installations that are decrepit and need to be removed. So have you had any quotes or anything, or estimates or anything?
I didn't have professional estimates, but again, I have some experience with renovations, and my personal estimate based on current prices, it could cost anywhere from $50,000 to $75,000, depending on you do it yourself, buying the materials, or you hire a contractor. But it's not going to be cheap. Resloping is very, very expensive. Roofing is expensive. Even yard work is extremely expensive. So, and I'm not even talking about what needs to be done inside the house. Like inside the house, the floor that you mentioned will need to be, it's made out of concrete. Like the previous owner had a concrete company and they used concrete everywhere. It's an inch of concrete that will need to carve out and then only then be able to put the floor. It's not fixable. Once it cracks, there is no fixing it. And that could be extremely expensive.
Okay. I have no further questions. Thank you.
Richard, do you have any questions?
Dan asked and answered. Thank you.
Bill?
No, I don't have any questions.
I have one question. Have you seen the pictures that were supplied by the assessor?
Is it a question to us?
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
Is that you said your basement was cracked in the floor?
Yeah, you can see it in the pictures.
That picture with the couch and the TV and that carpet, is that actual cracks in the floor, or is that design that?
No, it's actual cracks in the floor. I think they used high density cement to fix that. There are no leaks or anything. It's waterproof, but it reduces the visual appeal when people see this. Are like, what's going on? Why is the issue? Why there is an issue? There could potentially be an issue. So it's definitely a negative factor for the house. Yes.
So those are the cracks. Those are the actual cracks in the basement floor that I'm seeing in this picture.
Yeah, it's heaving. The floor is heaving. You can feel it uneven around this floor. So I guess the basement settled at some point. It stopped settling now, so they were able to fix it. But the visual appeal is definitely lacking.
Okay, I've got no further questions. Anything in summary on this one, Dan?
Sorry, my name is Drew.
Drew, I'm sorry. I've been calling you Dan all day here.
The only thing I really want to mention for the 2021 assessment that we're looking at currently is that I urge the panel to take into consideration the fact that there are upgrades done to the property and that the appellant has not provided any sales evidence to support a different valuation for the 2021 assessment, as there were no sales prior to April 1st of 2018. Also, that the assessment data provided should not be taken into consideration.
Mr. Applicant, anything in your summary?
Yeah, I think the city data speaks for itself, and the evidence that city submitted, I think, speaks for itself. Like the prices are significantly lower given the differences, even given the differences. So, you know what, if they don't agree to accept my evidence, we can rely on their evidence to make a case here. We can definitely rely on evidence in the pictures that shows several serious issues there, despite the original owner wanted to present it in a better light. So that definitely should be considered. And I also would like to emphasize the fact, because it has bearing on our next case for 2023, is that the 2021 reassessment was done the next day I submitted the appeal. And it looks to me like an attempt to bring the house value closer to the huge increase that we experienced in 2023. So again, we'll talk about a bit more about this for the next one. But yes, again, I don't believe, everything considered, the price is justified. The city didn't provide correct information to me when I inquired to what they used to change the assessment. And so now I feel the story changed quite a bit, which is somewhat concerning. So that's it for me. Thank you.
Okay, that will conclude that matter. Now we'll move on to number 9, which is the same property on the Drew, you've got the floor.
Do you want me to read in the subject again, or should I just move on to the comps?
Just move on to the comps. The subject's not changing.
Yeah.
You'll have to read the new numbers at the bottom.
Yeah, I will. Yeah. So same property, 42 Boisselle Bay. The comps in this case for the 2023 assessment are 52 Surfside Crescent, 36 Decaney Cove, 77 Surfside Crescent, and 43 Treasure Cove. They are all located in Island Lakes. All 2-story builds, all single-family dwellings, built between 1988 and 1999. The living areas range between 2024 square feet to 2174 square feet. All of the properties have finished basements. In this case, they are all actually closer to being fully finished as the subject is. The bathroom counts are slightly different. Comp 1 has 1 full, 3 half, 1 shower. Comp 3 has 1 full, 2 half, and 1 shower. And then Comp 2 is lacking 1 shower that the subject has. Fireplaces, all of them have, and Comp 2 has an extra one. They all have attached multi-car garages, and the assessed lot size ranges between 5985 square feet to 12620 square feet. There are land influences on most of the properties. Comp 1 has none. Comp 2 has a retention pond adjacent, meaning it backs directly onto a pond. Comp 3 has a retention pond influence, meaning it backs onto a pond but has a walkway between it. And Comp 4 has medium traffic backing onto Ward Avenue. The time-adjusted sale price range is $431,600 to $601,700, and the time-adjusted sale price per square foot is $213.24 per square foot to $294.09 per square foot, with the assessed value coming in at $535 and total assessment per square foot being $232.91 per square foot. I believe that this value is supported based on the information that I have presented here. Thank you.
The appellant have any questions of the assessor?
Yes, I do. I would like to know if the recent sales value is the only reason why the property value was increased from $460K to $535, which is $75,000 jump or 16% in one fell swoop. And why I'm saying $460K, because again, I believe the adjustment that happened retroactively was an attempt to bring the house valuation closer to the 2023 valuation to justify the big increase. But as you can see, the fact here, in one fell swoop, $75,000 increase, 16%. So is it the only consideration for the increase, the recent sale? Is there anything else the city factored to make this decision?
So in my review of the assessment, I did not consider your purchase price at all, as it is a post-reference purchase price. It happened after April 1st of 2021. I did not consider it at all for the 2021 or 2023 valuations. The changes made to the property prior to the purchase, those I am considering because that is reflective of the current condition of the home. So while I'm not looking at the purchase price, I am looking at the current condition of your home.
Just to clarify then, so we already discussed that there was a $27,000 increase. There hasn't been any work done since then. Since 2021, you already increased it by $27,000, and now you're increasing it by another, I don't know, $50,000 without any changes whatsoever, without factoring in the sale price. Like, is it correct?
Yes, the value I believe is supported. This current 2023 value is based on a market value at April 1st of 2021, whereas the 2021 value was based on a market value at April 1st of 2018.
But there haven't been any improvements since then. We have the baseline in comparison to 2021. You already increased the value for all the renovations that we allegedly done, for the previous owner allegedly done, and now you're again increasing it by $50,000 without even factoring in the sale price. Like, to me, it makes no sense. Again, I'll stop there, but that's my question, and I'm not sure if I can get a better answer.
What exactly is the question?
The question is, what justifies a $50,000 increase in 1 year?
So we're not looking at 1 year. Like you're talking about the change in the value from the 2021 to the 2020.
From previous cycle, yes, 2 years.
Yeah, so that's actually a 3-year change in the market, because the 2021 value is based on a market value at April 1st of 2018. And then the 2023 value is based on a market value at April 1st of 2021. So there's a 3-year difference in the market that we're looking at that has increased that value.
During that time, the housing market increased at 2 to 5% on average. There was a big spike in 21, 22. So you're saying that if you simply calculate compounded increase for the 3 years, it should amount to roughly, I don't know, 6, 8, 9%, but not 16%. That's a huge jump, even considering the value increases. So again, I will stop there. I know it's a question time, but I'll make more arguments when I have my turn.
Can I just make one point kind of related to it was sort of a question. I would not be looking at percentage increases. I'm using completely new sales data because it is a new reassessment cycle using a new market valuation date. So the sales that occurred after April 1st of 2018 would now be applicable for the 2023 reassessment.
And I'm thinking in real terms, what is going to cost me in taxes? I know that the increase you guys done for the previous tax cycle will cost me extra $450 in this tax cycle. And then the next one, given the size of the increase and assuming there would be proportional increase in the tax, I'm looking at another $700 to $1,000. That's huge. That's a lot. So again, that's just a comment.
Okay, let's move on to your presentation.
All right, we'll just selectively pull pieces from our evidence here.
We believe the city assessed value overstates recent improvements for tax years 2021 and 2022 and doesn't reflect the past and current market conditions for year 2023, intrinsic value, and the future housing trends. The property was assessed at $460,000 during the previous assessment cycle. The 2023 assessment came in at $535,000, which is a staggering increase of $75,000 or 16%, a high even considering inflated housing market. And the 2021-2022 assessment was also later retroactively adjusted by the city from $460K to $487K, allegedly for home improvements.
And as you can see in our comparables table, all of these are comparable sales that I understand were made in 2019, which should apply to this to the current tax cycle. You can see they're listed significantly lower, and I'm saying significantly, even with time adjusted values. So 94 Royal Park, 496, 77 Surfside, 487, Morning Glory Crescent, 67, 480. And for the properties that we have here, the remaining three properties, we don't have adjusted values because we got them from our realtor. We don't know what methodology is used to calculate the time adjusted value. But again, I don't think it will come anywhere close to 535. So I'm also looking at the evidence submitted by the city for 2023. So again, the assessment, the adjusted value is $535,000. They provided a few comparable properties. So for example, if you look at Comp 2, 36 Diganico, the effective year build is 96, so it's a newer house. The living area, approximately equal. They have 2 fireplaces, but their lots footage is 9,000 square feet of effective use space, not like in our case where we effectively have 6,000 square feet. In this case, they have 9,000 square feet, and they have a retention pond adjacent to the property, which is significant influence, positive influence on the value. People like to have water behind their house. It's just that simple. In our Comp 4, 43 Treasure Cove, again, the year built 1999, so significantly newer house. The living area footage is a little bit smaller, but what's important is that the square footage of the lot is almost 13,000 square feet. And they're assessed only at 525. So I don't know how the city can use this evidence to justify the increase and continue claiming that the price is justified, even looking at their own evidence. Just give me a second. I'll return back to my document. So again, we made an argument here in the previous hearing that the current Winnipeg housing market is overinflated, and it happened mostly during the pandemic. Before the pandemic, the prices increased at 2 to 5%. So if we look at long-term moving average of the price increases during that time, the real value, we believe, should have increased maybe by 6-8%, not 16%. So again, we feel that the value of 500, we could live with it. That's probably justifiable. If we try to sell the house now, we won't get anywhere near what we paid for it. And I would doubt we would even get 535. Like again, the prices started falling fairly quickly and it'll probably accelerate. So we don't feel it will be fair to use those values to tax us for the next 2 years at this inflated value. We could live as 500K for this assessment cycle. So that closes my argument. Thank you.
Drew, do you have any questions?
Yes. For the comparables that you provided, the 5 comparables there, are you aware of the overall condition of those homes at the time of sale?
Yeah, I checked the listings. They all look great. The curb appeal is obviously much better. They're newer, more updated houses. So if you look side by side, yes, our house is whimsical. The previous owner was a bit of an artist, so they did lots of whimsical stuff around the house. That's not to everyone's taste. Like, that's why there was one offer on the house, and we didn't even see it. If we saw it, probably wouldn't put an offer. But in this case, the house, when you come into it, doesn't feel modern. The houses that we use as comparable, you can go through listings. They all look like modern, recently updated houses with well kept, with many upgrades.
Okay. I think most of my other questions were answered in the previous assessment year, so I have no further questions.
Richard?
And I have no further questions.
Bill?
I have no further questions.
Only one question, just for clarification. You said you bought the house sight unseen. You just went by the pictures?
Yes, we did. We didn't have a choice because, again, we couldn't. We were in Ottawa at that time. We lived there for the past 10 years. And the only way we could see it was through the camera of our realtor. So he did a walk, but again, you cannot smell, you cannot feel the house. So we had to rely on his judgment. And when we started moving in, it wasn't that impressive. We had to do lots of work with painting, just doing cosmetic upgrades, reseeding grass, and so on. So yeah, and we still have tons of issues to work on in the next few years.
Okay, thank you very much for your presentation. And is there anything in summary? Ask that question. Is there anything in summary for you, Drew?
Yeah, I just have a quick little thing, just relating to the comps provided by the appellant. I just wanted noted that the finishings on many of them do not appear really to be at the same level as the subject property. In particular, comp the 94 Royal Park Crescent. It's very basic finishings, no upgrades at all, which is why it does not have an effective age applied to it at all. It's a 1988 home, looks like a 1988 home, doesn't have a finished basement. And the fixture counts are different, doesn't have a fireplace. And the other homes are fairly similar in that regard, mostly fairly basic finishing, no real upgrades, like not the kitchen upgrade that is visible in the subject listing. So that is basically all I have to say regarding that. And that otherwise that the park definitely does increase value. The park influence, rather, it's green space behind the house. It is an appealing factor in the real estate market, and their proximity to the pond that is nearby, it would also be an appealing factor. That's it. Thank you.
Does the applicant have anything in summary?
Yes, I do have a few quick comments. First, again, I had a chance to hear a few hearings, and it was mentioned here, the mathematical appraisal model. The thing with these models, they're only as good as their inputs. It seems a lot of these inputs are guesswork, and information is pulled from listings that are designed by nature to make the property look good, not objective. I know they also use aerial footage that isn't objective either. It's often dated. It doesn't provide enough detail. So again, I don't feel it's justified to increase the value of the house by $75,000 to 16% just looking at that listing, right? Like that lacks objectivity. The assessment methodology is flawed because it penalizes recent buyers by default. We are the recent buyers. There was a housing bubble, and we believe that drove housing values at that very specific time. It's an aberration which lasted for a few months. And I feel that's where the 16% increase is coming from, but that's not justified because it was a short-term thing. It will drop off very quickly, and we'll be stuck paying these taxes for the next 2 years. It's also on the argument about new buyers. I feel they're being disadvantaged by the fact that the listing goes up there, the city looks at it, looks at the sale price, and makes these decisions. We don't feel it complies with the provincial municipal assessment act, Act, because the Act specifically says that its purpose is to fairly and equitably divide the property tax it must raise. So if I was unlucky one who was forced to buy a house at that time, now I'm paying unfair share of taxes because my taxes went up proportionally much higher than neighbors in my bay. Again, you could look at the map that I submitted of the neighborhoods. I know you guys don't use comparable properties for analysis, but I think it's still a pretty good case to look at the average price of the houses, which are very comparable neighborhood, and they all priced in the range of 460, 485. Our house is third most valued house in the bay, but it's not warranted if you come and take a look at it.
I think an in-person viewing of the upgrades and what have you would justify our arguments. It has to be seen in person, but
And just the final argument is that COVID has been hard on many of us, and especially young families. We don't mind taxes. We know taxes do lots of good work around the city, and we don't mind the reasonable increase in these taxes. Like, I would be the first one to pay and say, hey, I'm okay paying a little bit more if we get better roads and better snow removal and so on. But we have the reality that COVID took place, housing market prices went up, lots of people lost jobs. We're a young family with 2 children. Even with 2 salaries, it's not easy. We have lots of expenses. And an increase like that affects us substantially. It reduces our ability to continue improving the houses and so on. So if you look at Ontario, for example, the Ontario Municipal Property Assessment Corporation decided to freeze property assessments at 2016 level until 2023. That's a fair thing to do. So again, I know it's an esoteric argument, but everything combined, again, I don't feel the $75,000 or 16% increase without any improvements is justified by any measure. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentation, and that concludes the matter.
thank you very much.
Have a great day. We're now going to move on to item number 10, correct? If you'll take the seat at the table, we'll get you sworn in. And this computer,
would you like a copy?
I would love a copy because this computer is really acting up. Did this thing change?
Yeah.
It's giving me a headache.
When you recycling anyway from myself.
We're gonna.
Can you please please state your full name? Sheila Quirk. Confirm that the evidence to the one to give at this hearing is the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Thank you, Monica. Number 10, and it's Drew.
Yes, thank you. This is 251 McLean.
McLean, yes.
Okay. So 251 McLean Street, in Varsity View neighborhood, rule number 0100097600. It is a 2-story build, single-family dwelling built in 2011, living area of 2302 square feet. It has a finished basement, 1 full bathroom, 3 half bathrooms, 2 showers. It has central air, no fireplaces, an attached multi-car garage, and the assessed lot size is 6459 square feet. The comparables are largely all in the Varsity View area, except for comparable 4 at 754 Laxdale Road, which is in the Elmhurst area, which is very nearby. The comparables otherwise are comparable 1, 3436 Parkin Avenue, comparable 2, 314 Chalfont Road, and comparable 3, 245 Bloomer Crescent. They're all 2-story builds, single-family dwellings built between 2003 and 2018. So they're all infill builds, with the exception of 245 Bloomer Crescent, which is in a pocket development. So it is truly an infill, but it's not an infill. The living areas are arranged between 1804 square feet to 2059 square feet. Comp 2 and 4 do not have finished basements. The bathroom counts are slightly different, varying between all of the comps and from the subject, but they're not overly different. Central air is not present in Comp 3. There are fireplaces at all of the properties, except for the subject. And the lot size ranges between 5993 square feet to 7292 square feet. There are some land influences on some of the properties. Comp 1 is near a community or rec building. Comp 2 across the road is the Assiniboine Forest. And then Comp 4 has a bus route and medium traffic influence. The time adjusted sale prices range between $535,500 to $673,300, with a time adjusted sale price per square foot range between $276.89 to $347.78 per square foot. With this information in mind, I do believe that the current assessed value at $642,000 or $278.89 per square foot is supported. And that is all I have to say about that. So thank you.
Do you have any questions of the assessor before you make the presentation?
Not at this time.
Okay. Richard, do you have any questions of the assessor?
No.
Bill, do you have any questions of the assessor?
No.
And I'm good. So let's move on to your presentation.
251 McLean Street is an infill house. The original house was built in 1947. Most of the houses on that block are original bungalows under 1,000 square feet. Our original taxes when we bought the house, which was 900 square feet approximately for a story and a half house, were $1,200. This year, our taxes are over $5,600. We have a gravel driveway. If you look at the pictures that I showed you, every other comp that I have on that list has a concrete driveway, including one house on McLean Street. But because we have a chip seal street, we cannot do concrete to the street. So we just left it as gravel because there's not much point in having half a driveway. We built a sub basement because this area of town is well known for being built on a slough, and the ditches really cannot keep up with the water. There's not proper sewage to remove it from that area, whereas some of the comps, which are on Parkin, do have completely brand new infrastructure. They will have all sewer lines and everything included. So that's one of the things that I find is really interesting in terms of being comparable, is that the infrastructure is not the same. But in the comparables that I have used, I did consider all areas of town, whether they have the chip seal streets or concrete streets, whether they have underground lines or overhead lines like we do on our street. In the previous assessment cycle, the board saw fit to propose a reduction to $516,000. Yet 2 years later, the Assessment and Taxation Department has initiated an upwards revision to the amount of $642,000. That is a proposed increase of 24.4% or $126,000. They are saying the value of my house, although the board previously agreed could be valued at $516,000, should be increased by $126,000. I submit that my infill house has not increased in value to that extent in the past 2 years, being one of the two-story houses on that street. In a previous appeal, I was instructed that assessments are based solely on square footage. No infrastructure or lack thereof is considered in the valuation. So let's go to a bigger comparable. In Varsity View, the same area, 62 Bloomer Crescent is 2,349 square feet. It's got a bigger lot at 9,476 square feet, which is about 3,000 square feet larger. It's sold for $545,000. By that sale, the cost per square foot would put my property at approximately $534,000, or time adjusted to $579,790. On the other end of the scale, 7 Joinson Crescent is a brand new build in a brand new infrastructure development, which is on Bridgewood. And that is 2,088 square feet, slightly smaller lot, about 1,000 square feet smaller. That one sold for $470,992. By that comparison, the calculation for the cost per square foot, my property would be $519,489, time adjusted to $530,844. In between those, I looked at 7 Denton Place, which is 2,180 square feet, same size lot, and it sold for $389,000. By calculating cost per square foot, our house would be $410,948, time adjusted to $445,950.
Is that your presentation?
That is my presentation. Thank you.
Okay. Drew, do you have any questions?
Yes, I do. Thank you. So I noticed in your brief that I just got this morning that most of the comparables are not really nearby, and a lot of them are kind of original builds from the 80s, maybe the 90s. There's like a few here that are in the 2000s, the 2010s, but your home was built in 2011. Do you feel that those are really truly comparable properties to your own?
So let me ask you, do you really feel that my infill property on a street of bungalows that were built in 1947 really is going to sell for $642,000?
Mr. Chair, I was asking her a question.
And I think that was her way of answering it. Do you have another question?
I do. So, what do you estimate that the added value of a concrete driveway would be?
Well, the cost to put in a concrete driveway would probably be somewhere between $15,000 to $25,000. It would definitely change the way that the drainage on the property runs and the parking and the curb appeal. If you look at the picture of our house, because we are paying such high taxes, I will note, just for the record, I am paying more than my parents pay in Lindenwoods for their taxes. In fact, I'm paying almost as much as a friend who lives in Tuxedo on Hosmer Boulevard. And we can't even pay to finish our yard. We have put in a fence. We haven't been able to do anything with the driveway. We still haven't finished any kind of facing on the front in terms of brickwork or anything, just because we do not have the additional money to put into the house. And this is just pretty work, right? This is not actually anything that affects the integrity of the building. It is just to give it more curb appeal. So, it has the windows, it has the roof, it has the, house wrap and all the stuff it needs to be, waterproof and livable. But we can't even do some of the things that you were considering upgrades in terms of some of the other homes. So this one is now 2011. It's over 10 years old. We're going to have to start doing maintenance. We're going to have to start replacing where there's leaks in windows and moldings that are, water damaged. This is not a new house anymore. And when I look at the other houses, if you look at my comparables, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that were in Varsity View. And really, we need to look at the houses in Varsity View because that is where my house is located. And if other people wanted to buy my house, that's what they would be comparing it to, is the other houses in the neighborhood and on that street and in the streets around it.
So touching on that, I do see that you have those Varsity View sales mentioned. They all were built between 1987 to 1998. Again, your house is a 2011 build. So are they really truly comparable to your property in that people might not be paying the same amount for a home that's 15, 20 years older?
When you're shopping for a house, the adage is to buy the best house you can buy for the lowest amount of money, which is typically the worst house on the street. Ours being the newest house on the street is not going to be able to sell for what the assessment seems to indicate it would, because like I said, everything else on that house, on that street, in that lot, is a 1-story bungalow. mostly with either gravel driveways, or in some cases, they may have asphalt. There's a couple that have concrete. But you put a 2-story house that already has to sit 6 feet above the rest of the houses because of the changes to the bylaws, and nobody else is going to go, oh yeah, let's go buy that huge eyesore of a house that sits way up above everybody else, because everything else on that street is not going to sell for that. And there is a house that is actually sold on McLean. It seems to sell every couple of years, so it keeps popping up. That one is 1,800 square feet. It's a little bit smaller, and yes, it is older, but it only sold for $370,000. That is the closest to an actual comparable I have in my block. And regardless of the fact that it's an older build, if it is solid, it has no foundation issues, it has newer windows, it has newer floors, they've done upgrades to try and sell it, because like I said, it's been sold pretty much every 2 to 3 years like clockwork, then why is it not getting more money? How can you say that just because my house is built in 2011 that you should be able to charge a brand new house in a brand new area with brand new infrastructure price? You cannot equal that to when every other house in the neighborhood is brand new. Everything else is little and small and old.
So I can see from your information that, again, I only got this morning, so I haven't had a chance to review it really at all, that the homes on or in your neighborhood there, they don't have any effective ages applied, which would seem to suggest that there have not been any significant upgrades at all made to the property prior to that sale. It would basically say that these homes are original from when they were built. So they're original 1980s, 1970s, or whatever, 1980s or 1990s homes versus the 2011 build, which is going to be newer and different materials than what you're going to be seeing in a 1980s, 1990s home. Are you aware if there's been actual changes made to these properties that have been significant upgrades? Like for sure aware that these have been happened prior to sale?
I submit that typically they are not going to go to the city and tell you when they are changing out the flooring or doing new paint. I have seen that there has been a couple of new neighbors and they have done some renovations. I can't tell you what because I'm not on speaking terms with them, but I've seen paint cans going out at the curb. The house next to us on one side had a fire a couple of years ago, and so there was an insurance claim which would have updated the interior of the house because of necessity. I don't want to speak to what other people's homes and conditions look like, but I know that we've had a leak in our roof that has caused damage, and insurance is really not the be all end all when it comes to fixing things. They do what they consider the most important remediation. And then after the cutoff point, they say, oh, we missed that, sorry, too bad. So I have no warranty on my house. Yes, it's newer, but again, it's the eyesore on the block. It's the biggest house. It sits up the highest. It's not comparable to any other house on the block. And most people are not going to be looking for that house on that street. We liked where we were. We owned the house that we had bought before it. And so it made the most sense to us at the time, unfortunately, to do an infill house. If I was to do it again, would I build there? No. I would not pay 5 times the amount of taxes to be in the exact same lot.
So that didn't really answer my question. Basically just yes or no. Are you aware if there have been any upgrades made to the properties that you supplied as comparables prior to their purchase or prior to their sale?
Okay, you didn't say comparables, you said in my neighborhood. So I can only speak to what I've seen. If you try and look up a lot of comparables on the MLS, once they're sold, they're no longer available. I did try and pull some pictures and a lot of them I can't get access to. So do I know for sure if there was any kind of upgrades? No, I do not. I do not have access to those homes. However, typically people will put on some kind of lipstick and rouge, as it were, when they're trying to sell a house. And they do some kind of upgrades at that point to make it look acceptable to new buyers. That's all I can say. I'm not an expert. I'm not a realtor. That is what my experience has been.
Okay, thank you. I have nothing further.
Richard?
Just one thing, and maybe I've missed something here, but I'm looking at your presentation, at the assessor's presentation, and I don't see any photos of the inside of a home. Can you, and yet I see lots of photos of the assessor's comparables. Can you talk a little bit about the shape, the sort of appearance of the home? Is it modern? Is it traditional? Is it hardwood? Is it laminate? Can you talk about that just for a minute?
Sure. Yeah, I don't have anything in terms of what the comparables were for the assessor, so I wasn't aware that I needed to provide internal pictures. But we do have hardwood floors and some tile. We did have an insurance claim. There was a tap that broke and we had to replace a lot of the floors. There is some carpet in the basement. It's fairly open. There's not a lot of walls. It's just kind of like a square on the inside, and then there's a big window at the back. But because of the new bylaw at the time, you have to strap out the rear walls because we're in a flight path. And with that strapping, I guess the builders they didn't know how to do that. It wasn't a common thing at the time. And now we're having to replace our 9-foot patio doors in the back because they have shifted so much that they're falling out of the frame. So the rooms upstairs, the master bedroom is a larger size than normal. We can't use the master bath because the contractor who built it did not do water testing on it, and there was a leak which damaged our living room roof. So we have not been able to use that bathroom at all.
What about your kitchen finishings, countertops and appliances?
It is a quartz countertop, which we got at a discount when we were building the house. And there is a gas range and then a wall oven, a white fridge, a dishwasher, an island. So there is an island in the middle.
That helps. Thanks.
Bill?
Yeah, so you had mentioned that the 21 assessment was revised on appeal, correct?
Correct.
Did you say to 516 or 560?
516.
516.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, so they're going from 516 to 642.
516 to 642 for the 23 assessment.
Correct.
Okay, just looking at your comparisons, like some of them are in the same neighborhood, Varsity View here. But I'm looking at the pictures and I can't really tell, like even some of them that are in Varsity View, like 63 Bramble, I think. It looks like it's in an, kind of an offshoot newer development. But is there anything you have in your comparison that's a similar situation where you're having infill in amongst houses built in the 40s?
I'm not sure how one would go about looking at the information that we get from the sales data and then figure out which ones would be infill, because like all you get is this kind of market region and it doesn't have any of the information about the house itself. It doesn't really have anything on it except for the sales year and the prices and whether it's a one-story, etc. So I'm not 100% sure how you would actually get to the point where you could drill down to infill in that market area. And it has to be, of course, within that sales period. Like I do know of one house that has sold a couple of times, but I don't think it's a 2-story. I think that it's only a bungalow and it's got a swimming pool, so that wouldn't really be comparable. So, perhaps I hope that I never have to come back and do this again, but honestly, I've had to do it every 2 years since we built the house.
That's okay. No further questions for me.
Was your house built by a contractor or did you do it yourself?
It was a contractor. I was pregnant with my first child at the time, and this contractor took on the job, and then, you know, partway through, he says, "Oh yeah, we're going to go on vacation. We're going to leave the framers in charge." And basically, I was paying in installments for the contractor's portion of the payments. And when we got to the third one, he's like, "You know what, just pay me. I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore." So they kind of walked out and left us with an unfinished house. And we didn't want to have a lien against the house, so we paid them. But unfortunately, they just dropped everything and left it with me and my baby and, well, my husband, but he was not on mat leave with me at the time, to try and figure out how to get a house that we could move into.
And you were saying, that's not your bedroom on top of the garage then?
No, that is mistake number 2. That is what we call the library, and that is where we get that extra square footage. It is basically a room that has sloping walls, and it's about maybe 12 by 18 because it's over the garage. And that's where a lot of the extra square footage comes from, is this one extra room that we wanted to have for a playroom for the kids.
How do you find the heating in that one?
It's awful. The contractor wanted to hire his own plumber, and the plumber came in higher. I said, "No, I want quotes." So we got 3 quotes, and I said, "Okay, we're going with this one." He says, "Well, I really want to use my own plumber." And I said, "Well, then he better match the price." So he matched the price, and then he promptly went in and dropped his plumbing down the HVAC chases, and then refused to take it out. So we have atrocious HVAC to the upper levels.
Okay, thank you very much for the information. That will conclude. No, now we've got to go back to the summaries. Drew?
Yes.
On your summary?
Yes. First of all, I'd just like to urge the panel not to consider any reductions to previous assessments. It is not applicable information. Also, I had a chance to quickly look at some of the listings that the owner had provided, and the comps in Varsity View do not appear to have any significant upgrades, or at least, or possibly no upgrades at all. So they do all present as 1980s or 1990s homes. Also, all of my comps are infills, except for comp 3, which is a pocket development. So it is kind of like an infill, but not really. It's kind of like a small pocket neighborhood of new development. But all the other ones are actually infills. And that is all I have. So thank you.
Thank you.
Just in closing, I would like to say that my dad helped me with the numbers. I'm not a real number person. The square footage, we just kind of did an average here. So it looks like, typically it's between 235 per square foot to 240. But if you do an average of the 13 properties that I presented, which are actual sales for, half for my region, then half just in that area of Charleswood, we come out to a square footage average of $244.77 per square foot, which by my square footage for my house would only equal $563,726. So if I was to put a number on this, and I'm really requesting that this become a permanent assessment, not, as Drew has said, that you may not look at that previous assessment that was revised. That makes no sense to me. Why would you revise it and then say it's no longer applicable? It was applicable when you revised it. Why would it not be applicable going forward? So I would say that between 560 and 570 would probably be a very reasonable amount to do for an assessed value based on these sales and, again, the square footage and the actual sales within that region.
Thank you very much. That concludes the matter.
Thank you.
Now we're going to
Thank you so much for your time.
Stay there, because we're going back to finish a couple we didn't do, okay? Just give me a minute, please. Which ones did we not do? Do you remember? 4,
4, and
5, right? 4 and 5? That's correct. Drew, you want to bring up number 4? Vincent Massey, read it on to the record, please. There's no appellate.
Okay. So 35 Vincent Massey Boulevard is in Windsor Park. Roll number 060-228-91400. It's a one-story build, single-family dwelling built in 1959. Has had upgrades, so the effective age is 1974. Living area of 1044 square feet, full basement, finished basement, 1 full bathroom, 1 half bathroom, 1 shower. Does have central air, no fireplaces, detached multi-car garage. Assessed lot size of 5771 square feet. And the property did sell in December of 2020 for $347,000. Time adjusted, that would be $354,634. The comparables are all in the Windsor Park neighborhood as well. 352 Drake Boulevard, 62 Bebo Bay, 13 Lockmore Avenue, and 180 Harper Avenue. All one-story builds built between 1956 and 1966. All of them also have had some upgrades, so the effective ages are slightly different. Living areas between 1022 square feet to 1040 square feet. All have finished basements. The bathroom counts are identical at 111, except for comp 1, which does not have a shower. Central air is present in all of them except for comp 2, and fireplaces are absent in all of them except for comp 4. They all have detached multi-car garages as well, and the assessed lot size ranges from 5461 square feet to 6185 square feet. Time adjusted sale prices range between $338,900 to $361,100, and time adjusted sale price per square foot ranges between $326.81 to $353.33. For these reasons, I believe that the current assessed value at $356,341 per square foot is supported, in particular by the time adjusted sale price of the subject sale.
Richard, any questions?
None.
Tim?
No question.
Bill, I mean, Tim. You changed everybody's name today.
I know what you meant.
That concludes the matter. You want to move on to number 5?
Okay, and this is Autumnwood.
Autumnwood 859.
Okay, 859 Autumnwood Drive, located again in Windsor Park. Roll number 060-224-55000. It's a 1-story build, single family dwelling built in 1959, has had some upgrades, so effective age is 1969. Living area of 1063 square feet, full basement that is finished, has 1 full bathroom, 1 half bathroom, 1 shower, does have central air, no fireplaces, no garages. Lot size is 6,000 square feet and has land influences of light traffic and is a school. The property sold twice in 2018. The first sale was in June of 2018. It was a private sale, sold for $207,000. And then its property sold again in September of 2018 for $300,200. Time adjusted, that sale price is $353,814. The comparables are all located in Windsor Park. There's 48 Heather Road, 4 Bebo Bay, 14 Duluth Bay, and 20 Crestwood Crescent. The year built ranges between 1958 to 1963. They're all 1-story builds. They've seen some level of upgrades. The range of living area is between 968 square feet to 1083 square feet. They all have finished basements except for comp 1, which also lacks an extra full bathroom, being a half bathroom and a shower. Comp 2 has a fireplace, none of the others do. And comps 3 and 4 both have detached single car garages. The lot sizes range between 5769 square feet to 6167 square feet, and there are no land influences on any of the comparables. Time adjusted, the range is from 327,600 to 339,300, and time adjusted per square foot, that would be 308.49 for the low to 338.43 for the high. For these reasons, I believe that the current assessed value at $321,000 or $301.98 per square foot is supported.
Any questions from the panel members?
No.
Seeing none, this concludes the matter. Now we can just, we are done.